Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Orr,
Here.
Councilman Baker,
Here.
Councilman Martinez,
Here.
Councilwoman Piltingsrud. Here. Councilman Edwards.
Here.
Councilwoman Henninger. Here. And Councilman Villagrana.
Present.
Okay, we need approval of minutes for the regular meeting of October 6, 2014, and the special meeting October 13, 2015.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting October 6, 2014, and the special meeting October 13, 2014, as presented to us.
Second.
We have a first and second. Roll call, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Piltingsrud.
Aye.
Edwards.
Aye on the 6th, and I was absent, so I have to abstain from the 13th.
Henninger. Aye. Villagrana.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
And Mayor Orr.
Okay. All right. Visitors. We'll move on to visitors now. Our first visitor up is Mike. You wanted to speak tonight? Come on up. State your name and address, please.
My name is Mike Vendetti. I live at 501 West Main in Florence. And I have two questions. First question is, do we have a number yet as to what it's going to cost to repair the railroad tracks, or the crossing? It's not the tracks, the railroad takes care of the tracks, but the crossing at Main and the one on Fraser?
I was going to give a briefing on that later on, but the number that the railroad has given us that they want us to pay is $135,000.
Is that for each one or for both?
That is just for the Main Street crossing.
Just for materials.
They're claiming that's just the materials cost.
Yeah, they passed a law in 2006, which
They
pretty
didn't
much laid it out.
They didn't pass a law. They had a rulemaking process that for some reason none of the cities and counties or CDOT participated in, and so we're looking into frankly the legitimacy of that rulemaking process, because it is amazing that not one single entity in the entire state of Colorado commented on a rule that has a frankly multi-billion-dollar impact on cities, counties, and CDOT over a long period of time. Unfortunately, other jurisdictions in the state of Colorado have frankly been taking it for quite some time. We're not going to do that. We are in the process of working with the Colorado Municipal League, and we believe that we'll be backed by the Counties Association and probably CDOT as well. And we're going to stand up to the railroad and not accept this, because this is something that is not a normal practice in most states in the union. It's a rulemaking process that frankly, how is it that nobody commented in the entire state of Colorado, that not one single entity commented on this thing that had such a massive impact on entities? Us alone, we have 4 railroad crossings, and they're trying to tell us $135,000 for one railroad crossing. That doesn't count the one on 67 that's CDOT's theoretical responsibility. So there's some pretty interesting things going on in terms of the railroad crossing situation.
Yeah, I really appreciate that answer, because my next question was going to be, how are we going to pay for it? And
there's frankly no way.
There's no way. I mean, you can't.
No way we could pay for it. Not $135,000.
You can't put taxes on people. They're not going to pay for it. And actually, I can't go home without going across a railroad track. And as that crossing deteriorates, I become more and more of a gated community.
And it's particularly interesting when if you look at what's there. Now, Mr. Martinez was telling me it was about 30 years ago that they put those railroad ties in. Tony and I went out and counted them. there's 240 railroad ties there. If you look at the market rate of railroad ties, it's usually between $1.50 and $2.50 a linear foot. Those are 8-foot ties times 240. The costs really, it's amazing how they can come up with $135,000 in materials. They wanted enough asphalt that frankly would have paved to the other side of Fraser, according to our public works director. And yet somehow they wanted that for, that much money for asphalt for that small section. Now I'm going to be getting together with the railroad, I don't even know what his title is, but the guy, the highest ranking person we're able to deal with from the railroad. I'm going to be getting together with him hopefully the Thursday or Friday of this week for a sit down. I've spent a lot of time with the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, and the staffers who come from DORA, which is the Department of Regulatory Administration Agencies. So dealing with them, they claim that their rulemaking process was legitimate, but I just find it amazing that everybody in the entire state, including CML and the Counties Association, that's their whole job. So we're really looking into it, and I'm hoping that a lot of folks will help us with this process, because one of their big threats that they're telling us is basically, you better have a really good railroad attorney, somebody who really knows railroad law. It's going to cost you all kinds of money to fight this, and so on and so forth. So they basically try to intimidate you into not even fighting the battle. And we're not going to be intimidated. We have no choice. We cannot do a $135,000 project. There's no way.
So they expect us to pay for their railroad ties?
They want to do concrete or something, but they're saying they want us to pay $135,000, and they're saying their labor will be $76,000 to rebuild this thing. And of course they don't give you plans like you get in every other public works project. Every other public works project with a price tag of over $200,000, you're going to have plans, you're going to be able to review those plans, you're going to go out to bid, you're going to have all these different steps to make sure that you've got a competitive project, price-wise. You don't get that opportunity with the railroad. The PUC tells me, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine, that fits with their normals. They simply measure the linear feet and the blah, 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 and this, and you go in and comes out to be $211,000 for a total project, of which they expect Florence to pay $135,000. It's not something we would, if we did that, you'd have my head. Everybody here would have my head to go out and say, yeah, it's going to be about, $211,000, and think about, we're fortunate here that most of our railroad crossings really are not near drainage ditches or large canals. But you think about it, the railroad all over the state is getting by with building these things where they bring out a crew, no engineering. If you're next to something that could be compromised by changes in the roadway, so be it. There's no engineering involved. It's simply quantities and come out and do it, and railroad law supersedes, and that's how it is. So it's it's sad, and it's stuff that we would never allow to be done in our communities, and I don't think any other community in Colorado would allow this to be done, and I don't think we legally can do it that way. And yet the railroad can come in and do this. So I really appreciate the question, because you can see I'm a little fired up about it.
Okay, well, the thing is, it's just like those tracks that crossing. I don't want to say tracks, because the railroad is going to take care of the tracks. That train is going to go back and forth and up and down.
Well, not according to them, though. They're even trying to interpret the rule, because I don't want to say a law, it's a rule. They're even trying to interpret the rule to say that Florence even has to spend almost $19,000 just on the rail. And I read that rule, and that rule seems to be very clear. We're supposed to take care of the roadway surface, and that'd be another $19,000 right there that they're trying to make us pay. That doesn't appear to be our responsibility, even by their own rule. So we're going to fight it. We're also going to be looking for a legislative fix, trying to get the legislature to change that rule. And to me, this is a huge issue, and I'm saddened that Colorado Municipal League told me we were the first municipality to mention it.
I think we need to stay on top of this, because every day those crossings deteriorate.
Yeah, we have no choice.
It's not going to go away, and if we lose, then what?
Well, that's exactly it. This thing is only going to get worse. It's not, all four of them are in the best shape that they're gonna be without further work, and we can't go do the work. The
can't
railroad
do anything, no.
will not allow us anywhere near there. So it's a matter of every day, they're only gonna go one direction, and that's not gonna be
Yeah,
getting
because
better.
I watch the trucks going to the oil fields at night and stuff like that, and there is some heavy stuff going across those
Well, and
crossings.
that's the other thing that we've got to make sure that we're doing, and we've already talked about this with our police department. We are going to very aggressively enforce the weight restrictions. We have no choice. We cannot allow heavy vehicles, and we're going to have to let the oil folks know when it comes time. I don't know, we're gonna have to come up with something. If they wanna have crossings of those heavy trucks, I guess we're gonna have to set up some kind of a system where they just prepay their fines or something, because
Yeah,
this
'cause
just can't.
you know,
can't be.
like I say, I watch them every day going across those tracks, and usually they go at night because they don't want to,
But we have police
Disturb.
officers on 24/7, so we're gonna have to make sure that that's something that we're aggressively watching for, because every time one of those heavy trucks goes through there, it's gonna do that much more damage. And I don't wanna be business unfriendly or anything like that, but the bottom line is, until those rules are changed, we have no choice but to be very aggressive on every end of it, and I don't see any way around it.
well, I thank you very much, and I really appreciate that some action is being taken on
Well, thank
this
you for
thing,
giving me
because
this
like, it's not
opportunity.
gonna go away.
Well, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will step up and help us, because that's kind of, we finally got some action by citizens of the community getting involved. This is a perfect opportunity for people to continue, we'll get kind of something we'd like them to say, and of course, they're free to say whatever they want, but if we're contacting the Public Utility Commission in mass, they already don't like Florence to begin with, so it's not like we're losing anything. And, it's time for us to continue to push it as a community, that this is really just unacceptable, and that this rule is not going to fly in a community like ours,
So,
or anywhere, frankly.
Going to the railroad is not the thing to do. Going to the Public Utilities Commission and complaining to them is the thing to do. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I think we got to do both. And I think we need to go to our legislators, and I think we as a municipality need to be going to the Colorado Municipal League and pushing them to back us. We need to be asking our county commissioners who have already agreed to this, or at least in a discussion, I'm not saying that they've acted on it, but that they will also take a look at it and go to their county association. We need to get CDOT, who is frankly the one who's losing the most in this, to quit taking this stance of, oh, well, because from what we can tell, this is not regular. This does not happen in most of, it appears that it doesn't happen in any other state in the union, just in Colorado. We're still doing some research on that, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense that this rule was allowed to go through in the first place, much less without comments. And like the lady from the PUC told me, well, what choice did my commissioners have? They all they heard from was the people who wanted it, and the others didn't say a word, didn't issue a single letter, nothing.
The problem is it's split up all over the place because it's federal, it's state, and it's local. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you have another question? You said you had two questions.
Well, the other question was how you're going to pay for it, but we haven't gotten there yet. I mean, it's,
Well, I mean, principally, we have an answer, we're not gonna. We have no way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to fight the battle through the legislature, through the PUC, through alternative ways, because we can't come up with $135,000. We struggled to keep $30,000 in the budget for asphalt for next year.
we may have to budget something, I don't know.
We can come up with
It's-
$520,000
Yeah, there's just no
for
way.
four of them.
So we've got to fight the battle, and we can't back down until, and the worst part of it is, or not, maybe not the worst part, but another bad part of it, think about it, if we then turn around and use all our grant, you only get a certain amount of money for your community. If we take all our grant opportunities and use those on those 4 rail crossings, that means all the other stuff we're working on, Pikes Peak and all these different things, those are going to be gone, all in the name of taking care of the railroads. Canyon City did exactly this. They paid a whole bunch of money for this and didn't even fuss. Well, we're not going to do it that way.
I guess we just have to put a deadline on it. As to, do something.
Well, we're going to be doing something by battling it out, particularly over the next couple of months through the legislative session and before and after the legislative session. This is too this is too egregious of a rule. Hurts too many small communities, too many large communities. We can't just sit back and accept that this happens.
Yeah, 'cause like I say, we're a small community. We just don't have it.
Yeah, we don't have $500,000 every 10 years to put to just this.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have any other visitors that want to talk? Don't we? All right. Move on to old business. We have no old business at all. New business. Request for flaggers for the road project.
Okay, in your package, you have a letter from Connie Higgs, who's the mayor of, was the mayor of Coal Creek. There was the community, I don't know, about a year ago, we along with the coal towns, Brookside, and Fremont County, and the oil company, a couple of these oil companies, entered into an agreement saying, hey, whenever possible, we will back each other up on some of these projects and help each other. What they are specifically asking of us is to provide flaggers for 2 days for core drilling of phase 2 of this project. This is essentially the north side of Coal Creek, County Road 13 going down to County Road 13A into Florence and on Fraser. The dilemma that we have is, as much as we want to support what former Mayor Higgs is asking for, the dilemma is the Public Works crew is they've got more work than they can possibly complete, and to take 2 of our folks for 2 days is really would put Sam in a very difficult spot. And I figured we would bring it to the council to have some discussion with you. But my thought is that what we do is we see if we can either get some volunteers from within the community to take the flagging class, or people who may have already
You
taken
have
it.
to be certified.
Yeah, you've got to be certified,
You can do
or
it
something of
online.
that nature. But I can't make a commitment of Sam's people. If they give us a date specific, Sam may be able to free up 1, but I can't imagine he could possibly free up 2. And so just wanted to, bounce this off of council.
I lost my pencil there. But, well, why don't we look at it this way? We did sign an agreement, and this is the first time we have been called to assist. And at least as far as I know, that's been.
Well, they wanted
We
us to
assist
unsafe.
them in other things.
We did assist them.
That's right. Well, okay.
Water truck.
Could we go back, and they need 2 people for 2 days? Perhaps if we would contribute 1 person for a half a day, and they could get the other communities to contribute a half a day, I think that might be a solution for it. I
think we need to find out if the other communities
Well,
have certified flaggers.
And I would say, go back to them and say, hey, we can work with half. Could you actually solicit instead of 2 days?
Thing of it is, the course is quite lengthy. It takes a while to do over, and you can do it online, but it takes quite a while to do.
Well, do
And
we
then you
have
gotta be
any,
certified.
do we actually have any of our staff that are certified?
We have 6 that are certified.
So, contributing a half a day, I think makes good sense. Let's talk to them.
Paul?
I think it would have made more sense if this had been discussed before there was any commitment made to it. And I don't know that there was a serious commitment made to it, because it's the first time it's been brought before council. And consequently, I just don't feel very strong about the fact that we're going to be helping somebody else who wrote a grant that at the very last minute decides, well, we need you. I don't see it that way. I just don't see our role in there, because when Connie Higgs first started writing this grant, we should have been notified that this was coming up and that Martha was going to be a part of it. I don't ever remember voting on this, on any agreement to help them.
We didn't, we just did as a good faith.
No, you actually, this council did actually approve this agreement,
We approved this.
including both of you, sorry.
We
But
approved.
what it is, it's non-binding.
Yeah.
It says that we will supply people when we can, and that was what the city council approved, was a non-binding agreement, and it remains non-binding. We are not bound to do anything here. That's why former Mayor Higgs is asking, rather than trying to tell us that we're bound to do this, because we can, under the terms of that agreement, we can simply say no. We can say we'll supply one person for a half a day. We can say we can say whatever we want to say. But the city council did approve that agreement, but you left it as a non-binding agreement where we have our say, our choice as to whether it makes sense for us at any given moment. On the first phase, we let them use our water truck when we didn't have use for it somewhere else. So we did step up and support that in a pretty big way, actually. So here, it's just simply a matter of, do we have, and you could leave it at what you said in the agreement. If you go back and look at the minutes, you said basically you were going to leave it to essentially myself and Sam, and potentially the water department, if there was something that was needed from the water department, to do it on a case-by-case basis. You could do that again here, understanding that if you leave it in my hands, in Sam's hands, high likelihood we're not going to be able to do anything. It depends on the days that they ask. If they give us enough warning and Sam can free somebody up, we might be able to do somebody, but in all likelihood, it's going to be very difficult for us to do unless we find volunteers who can take the class and get certified.
I guess I would,
Mr. Edwards?
And this is just my opinion, of course, you and Sam have a better view on it, and I think we should outreach. I believe unbinding agreements like a handshake, and it should be, taken very seriously. They count on us, we may need to count on them. Of course, that's going to be you and Sam's call, because you know a little better. I see 2 employees get the flu, have to miss 2 days, the city don't shut down. But then again, if you're in the middle of a project, we can't let it be to cost our citizens or the city money to shut down a job as well. But I would really like if you guys would look at it real hard. If they have given you a warning, let's see if we can't reach that agreement or meet it. If not, maybe negotiate 1 for 2 or whatever you guys can come up with. But that's just my opinion.
Did you have something?
yes, I actually agree with Mel, and I think he's right about it. And I see at the same time, it's like I see a lot of projects right now. The sprinklers probably will have to be drained and leaves cleaned up. There is a big hole on Petroleum and 2nd Street, and they need to take care of this. So, if possible, if there is somebody somewhat free at least, then I agree with Mel. Maybe you should look at this, but maybe. If our projects should be done, we should do them first, of course.
Yeah, believe me, there's no intent to not honor any kind of agreement, but even back to the agreement was that we would free them up, but we would only do it when we were able to do it. It was never something that said we are at their beck and call. So just to be clear about that, we had the same discussion with Mayor Higgs back then, frankly, that we're having right now, was that we may not be able to do it, because while we're the biggest entity in there other than the county in that particular agreement, it doesn't mean, it means actually just the opposite. We have a very small public works crew for a lot of duties, and to free them up is very difficult. But I take seriously what the city council is saying here, and if possible, we will do everything in our power to free people up. The biggest thing is that hopefully they can give us some kind of warning, because if
it's only 10
hey,
minutes.
can somebody be here today? Well, then it's probably absolutely not, because Sam's got his crew lined out for, and as it is, we've got projects. I can think of 2 projects that impact our citizens that are bad streets right near their houses or impact their driveways that we were going to get done right after Pioneer Days, and we're still struggling to get to. So that's how far behind we actually are. And not from a lack of guys doing good work, it's just that there's so much so much for them to do, and particularly this time of year. I wish they were doing the core drilling in the winter. It'd be a lot easier for us to
Yeah.
free somebody up, as long as it's not an icy or snow day.
Good. Anyone else?
All right, I think I got the direction
Yeah,
from the
so
city
it's up
council.
to you, Ken.
Okay. Okay, the approval of surplus property.
Okay, what you've got before you are items that the police department is desiring to surplus. This includes, some of the items you've already approved for surplus, but this is a comprehensive list at this time, and this is part of how the police department is able to keep the revenues up, pay for the new squad cars, et cetera. But we need you to declare these items surplus, and a simple motion to that effect will do.
Wow, that's quite the list.
Question?
Okay?
Chief, do you have a rough idea how much money has been brought in from the equipment that's already been sold?
I don't have it available to you. I do have a list of
No, I was just curious if you had a rough idea how much money was brought in from this stuff. Nothing negative about it, just a question.
I just don't know the number. I know rough. So we've met our desire to pay this year's cars, plus 23,000 money there, and then whatever the other ones, I have to go back and look at those. I can get it for you by the end of the month.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Then I make a motion, if we're ready.
Is there any other discussion on it? First?
I am curious about one item, please. And we have a tractor up there, it's a semi-type tractor, and it's been repainted and so forth. Is that on the list here?
It says Freightliner, it is.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
2006
is
Freightliner?
on there.
Is that on there? Any idea what,
They haven't listed it on anything.
it only has, what,
Well, weird having a
2,900 miles on it or something, or
3,100.
3,100? Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious about what kind of a value, what do you think that might bring?
See me later, I can work out a price with you and sell it for you. No, I've got 3 different companies giving us quotes on it right now. I'm waiting for them to get back to us.
Okay.
So one auction house, and actually Freightliner themselves have looked at it and are very impressed with it, so I'm waiting for final figures from each of those.
Okay.
All here Thursday and Friday last week. So I'll have an answer. I was hoping to have one today,
Yeah.
but I think I missed one of the phone calls. But I'll
mean-
have one tomorrow for you.
With 3,100 miles on it, and it's looking pretty sharp, so,
Eric's did a great job
okay,
on
thank you.
painting it and fixing it, making it look really nice.
All right.
Did a great job.
Yeah, it sells better white than it does holograph.
Okay, any other discussion? Then go ahead with your motion that you was doing.
I make the motion that we approve the sale of the vehicles and equipment sold by our police department in accordance with the list that was presented to us.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Did you get them?
I think what you're actually doing is declaring it as surplus equipment. Is that correct?
So amend my
Okay.
motion to read surplus equipment,
Second.
vehicles and equipment.
Okay, roll call.
Filigrana,
Aye.
Feldingsrud,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Henninger, Edwards,
Aye.
and Mayor Moore.
Aye.
7-0.
Sell it.
No money for the budget.
Okay. Change order for number 2, Moltz Construction for the East Tank Rehabilitation Project. That's Dory. You gonna talk on that?
Or either one.
Either one, whoever.
Okay, well, this is what our engineer discussed with us last week in a special meeting. This was one of the items, and basically, in order to get this project moving forward and finalized, he's asking us to do this change amendment number 2 for $281,650 and an increase of 84 calendar days. He's asking that the following amendments be made, or changes be made to the contract documents. The tank manufacturer will visit site and make inspections to confirm existing floor and walls are in sufficiently good shape to warrant installation of the new roof system. If you remember, this is where they're going to take the roof off because the roof is rusting through. Remove and dispose of existing tank roof, vent beams, and column, construct new at least quarter-inch thick steel tank roof system, complete with new support column, beams, beam sets, incidental structural components, vent hatches, guardrails, and painted per West Tank base contract specifications. The design and installation shall comply with appropriate standards, I won't read those, and a structural engineer registered in the state of Colorado shall approve. The vent shall comply with also those same requirements. They'll lower the overflow pipe penetration by approximately 2 feet and construct a minimum 7-foot-long weir box around the new overflow pipe penetration such that the top of the weir elevation is approximately 4 inches below the underside of the roof support beams. Construct a 6-inch-long air gap in the existing overflow pipe. Gap shall be approximately 3 feet above grade, a 24 mesh stainless steel screen, and a half-inch 18 by number 18 stainless expanded metal sheet shall be installed around the air gap. And then you see what the price change is. I think Richard did a pretty good job of explaining this to us last week, but if you have questions, we'll do our best to try to answer them today. Yeah, please.
I do have a question. I do see the need.
You've got to get your question on there.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard Saxton did an excellent job in showing us the need for it and the explanation. The only problem that I don't quite understand is why wasn't it just figured in the original bid?
Well, in the original bid, now the good news, the other thing I forgot to mention, the original engineer's estimates was that it would come in at about 2.7 million total project. We're actually still at that 2.7 million.
No,
So,
that's the same.
oh, that's okay, sorry.
This was 500,000.
Oh, okay.
It originally bid 484,000.
See, and this is what kind of bothers me about all the bids that we get, the respect that after a short period of time, we start getting change orders.
Well, me,
Well, in this particular situation, and I'm not defending the engineer on this one, that's why we made him come out and have that special meeting last week so he could directly answer the questions. But basically, once they got in there and they essentially sandblasted the underneath of it, what they found was they discovered that when all the rust came off, it had rusted all the way through, and they found that when this tank, which was a basically reclaimed tank, it was not a brand new tank when it was put in, they found that the lid had not been constructed properly when it was first constructed. The beams, the support beams didn't go all the way down to the end, so on and so forth. It still has a small list to it and that kind of stuff. That's part of why we want to have the structural engineer.
I understand because he did an excellent job of showing us and pointing out the areas. And I don't have a problem with that aspect because he did show us. But sometimes I just kind of
It's frustrating they didn't catch it.
frustrated that they don't
That was
submit
the
it
first-
in the original bid.
That was the first question I asked Richard when he came in with the contractor as to what was going to happen. And I said, the first question council is going to ask you is, why did you not know that this roof system was substandard when you engineered the project? And he said they were on the roof, they looked at the roof, they knew that some of the beams were shorter. These are above roof system beams that lay on the metal. They looked at it and they figured it was okay. It needed to be sandblasted and it needed to be repainted and it needed to be resealed around the beams. Well, that was fine. That's how they did the project. But when they sent the people out there to do the sandblasting and power washing to get it ready, when they got on that roof, they did the whole, while we were waiting on the west tank, they went out and they did the whole tank, but they didn't do the roof because there still had to be a hatch cut in there. When they went onto the roof to do the original power wash, so that they could sandblast and get it ready to paint, they power washed the grouting from where those beams were sitting on the roof. They power washed the grouting and it was full rust. There was no good metal under there because they laid the beams on the metal and then caulked it. And when they power washed, they start washing out all these little sheets of metal and realized that the beams were sitting on less than a 1/4 inch of metal that was not going to hold. And if we don't do something now, the roof will cave.
Plus, may I add to it? As far as I understood, they did it from the inside, and before you empty the tank, it was hard to tell what could be done to it.
When they started sandblasting the end, they saw pinholes.
That's what I mean,
along
like
the
from
beams
the
that
inside.
they went on the roof. And then they realized that the beams were rotting. They're rotting.
You know, and I guess to a certain extent, maybe it's our fault because we should ask them that when they submitted their bids, if it was thoroughly inspected, and of course, I don't
At that
expect you
time,
guys
they
to
would have said
understand
yes.
Yeah,
the
it's not
engineering
foreseen.
aspect of it.
At
but-
that time, they would have said yes.
Well, I think to me, the bottom line is, and Richard and I spent a lot of time talking about this. The bottom line is, from Richard's perspective, I mean, we asked Richard the right questions. He asked the right questions. The problem is, it's a lesson now for him into the future, that whenever he sees any of that cork or anything like that on the roof of something, he has now, learned a lesson about before he does a bid, he's going to tackle that roof piece. I think unfortunately, it's largely unforeseen, but now, good, right, wrong, or indifferent, our engineer will now foresee this if it ever comes up again, and probably the rest of us will as well. But it's just one of those things that he hadn't seen yet in his experiences, and he does. Yes, it's frustrating, but I do. If anything, off the conversation I had with Richard, I feel pretty strongly that he's definitely got our best interest, and he's looking out for this community. And unfortunately, this is just one of those things that he learned a lesson on us, but he feels very strongly that they've been able to keep the prices within the same range so that it's not an additional price. If anything, he got some, it's working out because we have a different, one particular sub, I won't say which one in public session.
And I understand, and I thank Doreen, I thank you for the explanation, and I thank Richard because he did show us the need for it. But sometimes that thought gets stuck in your head and you got to get an answer with it.
We're all feeling exactly the same way, so definitely.
But then, may I add something else? It's like we remodeled several old houses. You never know whether the joists will be rotten underneath the floor when you remove them. It's like you can't predict it. With old buildings, it's hard to tell.
Well, if
What
I
to
buy
expect.
a house, I'm going to inspect it, make sure that it's not rotten underneath. If I buy a house, and I'll guarantee you that we have bought a house.
Well, it's
Now,
just
we
that-
sent people out to inspect it and had several things done to it before we bought it. So now I can tell you from my aspect, and I'm not trying to be critical of you, but from my aspect, I would have inspected everything because we did with that house. And of course, like Richard requested us now, it cost me extra money for all
Yeah,
of it.
but he could have inspected it and looked good, but then when he sandblasted it, it blew the holes through it.
Exactly.
So
I
that-
agree with you guys, I'm not disagreeing.
So you're not gonna know, so it's
But I mean, I
It is
think.
what it is.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the end of a lot of things. I think when we get these contracts in and these bids, these guys are coming best case scenario, and I understand that because unforeseen is exactly what it is. There's gonna be things come up. I hydroblasted and sandblasted for about 7 years, and I've seen things fall 400 feet out of the sky that, they thought was strong enough to hold it. It's just, I don't have a hard time with it because I understand it's best case scenario, and unforeseen is unforeseen. You can look at an egg all day long, and you just never know how much pressure it's going to take to break. So it's a tough one. It's a tough call.
It is.
I agree.
Larry?
Well, I'll repeat what some of the others have said. I've been doing this for 50 years, buying and selling properties, reclaiming them and all those things. And quite frankly, the best inspections in the world, you
There is
get
always
into them,
surprise.
you get into old things, as in this particular one, we got it second hand. And so, I know exactly, because I got paid. My costs have increased and so forth, so I understand how these things happen. Now, I would have one other question now. We're looking at an adjustment of almost $282,000, and we do, out of the bond money, we do have sufficient money to pay for it?
The bond money is $500,000 for the east tank because it's a Florence-only project.
Okay.
This additional $282,000 is over and above, and Florence is going to have to pay that.
But do we
And
have?
we have it in the water fund.
But we do have it in the water fund.
Right.
So we have the money.
We had budgeted $500,000 this year for a water line replacement, which did not get done,
Right.
so there is money to
Okay.
pay
it goes.
this difference, because the difference is going to have to come out of the city's funds.
Well, we're going to have,
We can't take any more from the bond money because we've still got a South Reservoir project
right,
to do, and we have specific money set aside for that.
okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
we can,
obligated.
okay. So,
Okay.
all right.
Anything else? Okay. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we modify our contract with Moulds Construction for an increase in contract price as a result of amendment number 2, which is $281,650,000 with an increase of 84 calendar days, and that is the cost of that is, as stated by Mike when he first in the first 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 explanations within the contract that it covers that, and Mike actually
Read.
he read those.
Second.
Yeah, is this West Tank?
East
It says west tank because that's
It's
where it
actually-
started and it's an amendment, but it's the east tank.
It's-
project.
it's
Remember,
actually-
we added the
No,
east tank
yes,
to the
We need to
contract.
state that in there.
Right. Yeah, it isn't the east, but it's part of the west.
It's
Bank.
that west tank,
West Bank,
just
right, okay.
we added it
Nice.
to
Just to
that
make it more
project.
simple.
And actually, that is
That's
in,
why it's change order number 2.
right, and that is in the second, that is described in the second paragraph, remove and dispose of the existing east tank roof. So it is clarified right there in the contract. Okay?
All right.
So are you also approving task order number 53A?
That's-
That comes next.
Oh, that's next, I'm
That's
sorry.
next, I think.
Okay, sorry.
Do we have a second?
I did.
Okay, we have first, second. Any further discussion on this? Okay, roll call, please.
Baker.
Aye.
Felting-True.
Aye.
Henninger. Edwards.
Aye.
Villagrana.
No.
Martinez.
No.
And Mayor Orr.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Passes.
Okay. Task order 53A, Farnsworth for the,
This is
East tank.
the engineering for the project that was just described. Everything else is related to the exact same project, however, it's the engineering side of it, and they're saying that the engineering fee is $21,300. It'll be done by Farnsworth. On the back page, under number 3, you see the schedule of the services.
all right.
I'll make a motion that we approve task order number 53A in accordance with paragraph 1.1 of the master agreement with owner and engineer professional services dated February 2nd, 2003, and as described in the contract, and for the amount of, was that $21,300.
Second. Any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Baker?
Aye.
Henninger? Aye. Villagrana?
Aye.
Edwards?
Aye.
Martinez?
Aye.
Hiltingstroude?
Aye.
Mayor Orr?
Aye.
7.
Okay, next we have the 3-2 beer license renewal for the Loaf and Jug. And is all the paperwork in order and everything in order? Dory?
Yes. The Loaf and Jug license is complete, and tonight you have on your table the health officer report that was not ready Friday, and the
Okay.
police report is attached.
Calls. Shoplifting. Just mostly shoplifting. And part of the report about where he fell asleep at the gas pump.
But other than an intoxicated person coming in April, it looks like they've been,
Yeah.
nothing else related to, there's 2 intoxicated people.
And they've got all their fees paid and everything?
Yes.
All right. Motion on the floor?
I would make a motion to approve liquor license or beer license 3.2 for Loaf and Jug number 7. What am I?
506.
506 East Means Florence.
Okay.
Second.
First, second. Roll call.
Almost read this.
Who's the second? Oh, sorry. Hiltingstroude?
Aye.
Baker?
Aye.
Martinez?
Aye.
Henninger? Aye. Edwards?
Aye.
Villagrana?
Aye.
Mayor Orr?
Okay, 3-2 beer license renewal for Quick Stop number 3. Same thing. Paperwork in order?
Same thing, yes.
Okay.
Fees are paid. Health
Fees are
officers report. And
And-
police report.
How many? At least a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit less. They're at least pretty comical. That already came in